Assalamu alaikum everyone. In this video we are going to talk about species concept. Now before going into the explanation of this concept, we will see the definition of species, which already you guys know about. Definition of species, it is the group of interbreeding population or interbreeding individuals, interbreeding population that are reproductively isolated from all other groups. Means the presence of the interbreeding populations which are reproductive isolated from other groups. They cannot reproduce with the other groups in nature, but they reproduce among themselves. These are known as the species, and they occur at the same place at the same time. All right, there are the four species concept. The first one is the typological concept. Second is the biological species concept. The third is the evolutionary, and the fourth concept is the nominalistic. We are going to learn these four as T Ben. Okay, T for typological, B for biological, E for evolutionary, and N for nominalistic. Now in this video we will look at the typological concept, and in the next video we will look at the evolutionary and nominalistic concept, and a separate video for biological concept. So okay, if I go deep into the typological species concept, what it is, there are the other names for this concept too, also known as morpho species concept or morphological species concept. And the name for this concept is essentialist species concept. It was proposed by Aristotle, Plato, and Linnaeus. Now these are the ancient Greek philosophers. So this concept is related to philosophy. Okay, this concept is related to philosophy and not science, and this is the concept before Darwin. So this is the concept of pre-Darwinian period. Now, according to this concept, there is number and diversity, and each diversity has limited number of universals or types. Now, these diversities or these numbers, they have limited number of universals or types. How do we explain this? Suppose this is the population, there is the great diversity, great variety, great number of individuals. And what are they? They are the universals or types. What do we call species? We call them species, but according to those scientists, these are the universals or types. Okay, yes, these universals and types, these are known as the species. And if I talk about another definition, then according to that definition, that it was thought species are immutable entity, which means no mutation can occur in them, and according to them, species is a fixed entity, like no change can be done in them, no change can take place in them. These are immutable, no mutation, no change. And these scientists also called these universal types as platonic idols. Means these are the replica of each other. Species are the replica of each other. This word means that species are the replica of each other. They are the fixed entity, they are immutable, and these are the universals or types. Now if I talk about the basis of this concept, then this concept is based on the morphology of the species. Okay, morphology, or you can say the phenotype. Scientists just observed the, you say, morphology or the physical appearance of the species, and they called them the universals or the types. You see, scientists saw the morphology. That's why this concept is known as the morphospecies concept or the morphological species concept. Here we have cleared this concept. Now why it is called the essentialist species concept. So we say that morphology is seen or physical appearance is seen. So which are the characters? Now morphology is the characters. These are the morphology. This is the character. Suppose long hands and short hands, whatever, these are the characters. All right, so scientists saw those characters. Means scientists look at the morphology, and they say that these characters, they are differentiating them from other species or other universals or types. So these characters are the essential characters which should be present in the universal or the types. Okay, that's why this concept is known as the essentialist species concept. Okay, or the essentialism, another name, essentialism. Hope this concept is clear that these characters, these are essential, which are differentiating them from all other individuals or the types or the species. So that's why these essential characters, they are differentiating them, and this concept is known as the essentialist species concept or the essentialism. Now we will talk about the difficulties in this application of concept, or we say that the criticism of other scientists in this concept, or the difficulties in application. So the criticism, it was given by Mayer and Simpson. Okay, now how do they criticize it? The first point is that they said that there are the strikingly differences among the morphology of the same species. Now, we talked about sexual dimorphism in the previous lectures. Sexual dimorphism and the age differences, and polymorphism means the existence of many forms or many types in a same population, okay, or the same species. And we talked about the concept of phenone. So these are the criticized points, that in a population, when there is sexual dimorphism, there are age differences, there are different age variations, there are larva, pupa, and the butterflies and the moths, and there are the different genders. So how can we differentiate them, and how can we put them into same group if there are the different you say individuals? We talked about in the phenon concept that there are the females and the males, okay, which are the phena. So at the time this concept was not known, the phenone concept was not known at that time. So according to this concept, it is thought that female and male, they are the two separate species, okay, due to the sexual dimorphism. So that's why this, which is obviously not correct, because these are the same species. So that is why they criticize it in this way. So yes, it doesn't matter how much they are morphologically different from each other. We know that females have different morphology than that of the males, and we see that larva, pupa, and the adult moth, they have various differences among them. So according to those differences, according to that sexual dimorphism, we cannot place these different individuals into different. We cannot say them as different species. Okay, so this was the first point, and the second point is of the sibling species. So sibling species, these are the closely resembling individuals or the closely resembling species, which means, you know, the word sibling or the twin, it means they look alike. Okay, these are two different species. Okay, suppose this is a species A and this is the species B. Now these are totally different species, but their morphology is same. As we are talking in this concept, that we see the morphology of the individuals of the type, that why it was called the morphospecies concept. All right, so there are the species which look alike, which are totally different species, but those are the sibling species. So it can be a problem, it can lead to a problem, that this species can be placed inside this species. This can lead to a major problem, because these two are the separate species, these are the sibling species. Okay, and sibling species, they cannot interbreed, they cannot interbreed. Okay, so these are the two different organisms, two different species, which only look alike in their morphology, but they are not same species. That's why this concept was criticized. And the example of sibling species is Drosophila. There is a species of Drosophila that is known as the Drosophila pseudo obscura, and another is known as the Drosophila persimilis. Okay, so these two are the sibling species, they look alike, but both of them are totally different species, and they even cannot interbreed with each other. Four postulates of essential species concept. The first postulate is that species consist of similar individuals which share the same essence. Similar individuals, which all of us know that species contain the same individuals which interbreed among themselves. Okay, similar individuals sharing same essence. The second point is that these species, they are distinguished from all other species very sharply. Okay, there is a very sharp difference among them. Species have sharp difference or discontinuity along with the other all groups in nature. And the third postulate is that species is completely constant through time. The fourth postulate is that there are the strict limits to possible variation within any one species. Okay, there are the strict limits. Now, what these two postulates are talking about, completely constant through time. When I told you about that, these scientists, they said that species are the fixed entity and they are the immutable entity. Means no variation, no mutation, no any kind of change, means no evolution. This concept is saying that species are gonna remain the same. There cannot be any change among the generations. Okay, completely constant through time means no evolution, no change, and fixed entity. And strict limits to possible variation means no variation is going to happen. There are the strict limits allowed for the variation. So these were the four postulates of species concept. We have discussed about the basis, we have discussed about the names and the criticisms, and this is all about the typological species concept. I hope it is clear, and if there is any confusion, you guys can ask in the comment section.